Let's make that next video. Let's see what we could get into. Oh. Hey, what's happening, y'all? Gene Alcantara back once again. It's been a minute. You look great. It's been like 2, maybe 3 years. 2, 3. Oh my god. But that's besides the point. So look, it's been a while. There's been a lot of changes that's been happening. I've been uploading them in a very inconsistent type of manner lately, but we're gonna explain why. There's a lot of stuff that's been pretty much... Hold on a second. Not enough light source. Hold up. Some light. There we go. That's better. Going through my own type of redemption type training arc type-ish these past couple of years. After I uploaded my last couple videos with the 2020 roundup and stuff that I had to take care of at my other jobs. So I had to pretty much take time off of YouTube every once in a while, semi-medium consistently upload videos here and there on YouTube. But I've just been trying to make sure that everything more or less on my private end is okay. For some people that were kind of just being all rambling oh, Gene, where's the content? I can't fucking live without it. It's yo, relax. I see you. I feel y'all. But bruh, chill. I'd like for this to be my main source of income at some point or another, but currently the cards aren't there yet. But over time, hopefully, maybe, things will work themselves out and we'd be able to have a much more consistent stream of videos, Twitch type vibes or some shit like that. So far, I've just been uploading videos on YouTube, but I do have plans on trying to diversify that by putting up other things in the channels, other than the Instagram channel that I have, instagram.com/thefamousgene, and also Twitter. Well, Twitter is a little different right now. There's some odd discrepancies. I'll get that fixed at some point or another. But yeah, I'm probably gonna make a new Twitter at some point to alleviate that. I've been uploading a lot of personal stuff that I've had in the past, old pictures of me and other things like that, to kind of bridge the gap between the several years that I've just been on and off consistently posting stuff on the internet and also doing stuff, the Alcantara archives. There's a lot of stuff that has been heavily documented about my life that I would like to share with y'all at some point or another. Stay tuned on that. That's going to be important. So look, 2021. What happened? There was no video for that, no recap. Well, I would like to say it was because those videos more or less have been coming out over the years and such. There's been a lot of videos on my YouTube channel that kind of gives you more insight on that, because I have been consistently uploading stuff for 2021, doing upload videos for 2022. For 2021, you could sort of just say, and not because I have stuff on my drive or anything like that. While I was working in my restaurant job, every once in a while I was checking all of those websites. I had the trackers on, I had all that ish on my phone that would give me alerts and stuff like that, so that it would let me figure out when these channels were available, so that there was a space in the line and I could get into a queue in order to get a PS5. Now, I had really bad luck. The earlier couple of months, I had messages here and there from PlayStation that would give me false hope, more or less, letting me know that early buying that was available, but I kind of ignored it because I didn't have the means to buy it at the time. But eventually the queue changed and I was able to get access because my wait time went from an hour to 26 minutes. And boy, was I happy during those 26 minutes. I was fucking shocked, over the moon. I was surprised that I was even getting closer to getting access to the console, because for a lot of people, the wait times just never really ended. And because I was so lucky enough, more or less, to get access to that wait time, it kind of felt like I was just being let into a VIP section of a club of sorts. So I was waiting there 20 minutes or so. Over time, it started changing. I started getting close to like 18 minutes. Doing my time, the thing eventually let me get access to the 1 minute marker. I was shocked. I was like, yo, for real? Are you like dead ass? I was mad hyped to try to buy one of these and thinking, yo, if I could have done it in a recording, that would have been even better, because it just proves that like the system would eventually work when you're lucky enough to get the chance to win a raffle in order to get one of these things. So I waited and waited some more, and sooner or later, I was told that it was my time to shine, bro. They finally gave me a message thanking me for waiting and redirected me to the website that I could have gone to. Is gonna add the totals and such, add the applies, the offers and whatnot. Wanted to get that super extra, very quick express shipping, because you know it was serious. I filled out my address and stuff, and I was able to get the console shipped over relatively quickly. I made like a silent prayer. I told God, yo, thank you, bruh. I work so I can get these things done and get to play those amazing games that the future had in store. Because I definitely wanted to see a Muso game on that console. I play the heck out of it, bruh. So other than the console coming over, I was able to acclimate a lot of my other like core library to the console itself, because I was able to transfer stuff from my storage hard drive that I keep that's similar to the other console and just connect it to the side of the PS5. So I was able to just grab things from one place and push them somewhere else. So I did that, and I literally just transferred over, or like kept most of my games that I was able to play. And I was like, whew, okay, say less, fam. Let me get that 60 frame rate targeted for a lot of my games that I loved. So of course, I started playing a whole bunch of games, among them stuff like God of War in like 4K, 60 frames, with no type of checkerboarding whatsoever natively, and also stuff like future Last of Us video games and such like that. Well, at the time, like I was thinking to myself like, oh, I can finally play a Muso game and it's gonna run totally fine and it's not gonna be janky as all hell without any types of like frame rate hiccups or anything like that. Cause you know, I'm like super into like beat 'em ups and things like that. But yeah, more on that a little bit later. So I was playing that for a bit. I was eating good, being able to play Tekken 7, Ghost of Tsushima, Guilty Gear Xrd, and Strive, Spider-Man, and also Spider-Man Miles Morales, which was also on its way, if I remember correctly, Dead by Daylight, Borderlands 3, Destiny 2, Mortal Kombat 11. But upgraded. It's gonna be able to play as Liu Kang, maybe Aaron Black. So one of the first things I did was dig out my old PS3 and start looking at some of the stuff that was happening in the backlog. Playing a whole bunch of old school fighters, stuff like Fighting Vipers, Virtua Fighter 2, and even like really obscure games like Melty Blood and Arcana Heart. Arcana Heart is one of those games where the premise itself is just a bunch of people have a tournament where they're fighting each other and shit like that. Now, a lot of it can be alienated with the premise that there's a lot of young-looking schoolgirls that are running around pretty much beating the tar out of each other. And for a lot of people, it kind of veers towards the other edge when it comes to either a fighter that's being taken seriously or something that would probably be played by people that self-proclaim themselves as a marginalized group of people instead. Mind you, the game itself is pretty fun, but I play the game for the interesting, very deep combos that the game has. There's tons of videos online and certain wiki entries and encyclopedia places where you're able to get super detailed, intricate information on how to use every such character and how to use their moves in conjunction with different gameplay gameplay systems that some of the characters and their familiars are able to better producing, more or less, when some of the combat system pieces start mixing and matching and interacting with each other. I mean, like, I got the platinum for it, so like, I could probably revisit that in more detail. I mean, I was like really trophy hunting for like a time, and I managed to get like the last couple of trophies and such, dealing with move lists, characters that can like dash in the air, dash on the ground, do all types of wobbly type ish with like roller skates, jump from one side of the screen to another, use some Spider-Man web crawling type ish to get around the battlefield. Like, it's sick. But yeah, Arcade Heart had me for like a time. I was playing it like really deep on and off for like a good like 1-2 months or so. Like, yeah, I played that game. I did some combo trials with a character. I got the platinum trophy, and off I kind of like went on my merry way playing other games on and off. Other than that, let's fast forward. So from March to December or so, 2022, was still working odd jobs on and off, trying to get goals met, doing podcasts here and there with Diego and such, doing podcasts here and there with Tyranno King and VC Biggs and such. Like, all my peoples were like doing other types of things here and there. We would like join each other's pods, be able to like lend a hand here and there, doing stuff for other people. But eventually things kind of went back to me playing some Grand Theft Auto, because occasionally there would be updates that would come up. There were holiday updates, the main character interacting with the infamous Dr. Dre. We did some missions with him, sold some really big contraband, messed around with my agency a bit. I was also doing missions for a part of an update for GTA. There was more missions that allowed you to do stuff with an auto shop that you were able to have access to, doing missions for Santa, Detroit-based DJ Moody Man that was able to provide some of his tracks for Grand Theft Auto Online. Because Grand Theft Auto Online, other than the heavily documented retrospective that I have available, I still plan on probably trying to revisit that concept, because even though I've improved throughout the years trying to work with better video editing techniques and such, sometimes I look at some of my older videos and I think to myself, oh man, if I had like the skills that I had back then, I would probably change the way it worked. I got more GTA content on the way, so like stay tuned for that. They had me carrying weapon parts for ammunition, doing some of the side activities for the game as part of the agency that was also included as part of an update in GTA Online. That game pretty much like consumed like most of the year for me, because I had like a self-proclaimed goal where I would like try to make like 100 million and then just like sort of, I guess, bail out of the game when like all the content was just like finished. I wanted to provide some sort of like record of like documenting all of my experiences with the game, because if I could have it like a neat little page and tablets with like chapters and everything like that, like a book, that would have been freaking amazing, because you could literally like go back to some of the other chapters of the archive and look at literal pieces that kind of add together to show my characters, several of my characters' progressions from like goons that literally got dropped off Los Santos to suddenly becoming criminal masterminds and doing amazing stuff in the world of Grand Theft Auto Online. Super excited for the GTA 6 stuff, because I know that trailer came out, it was lit. I'm not placing that in the video because I know it would most likely demonetize my ish. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what kind of stuff Leonida has to offer. But yeah, let's go into further stuff that was happening for me and my videos like in between, because I would love to fill you in on more stuff that was happening on and off when it comes to like the behind the scenes like introspectives of stuff that's happening like in between when I do other videos for like 2021 and such. Because while I was doing that, I also was My character was also doing stuff for the FBI. Oh wait, that's 2023. Oh, the year for 2022 pretty much came and went. Fast forward to 2023 March. Yeah, I was doing, most of that has been like mostly documented here and there. 2023, tried a little bit of the Exoprimal beta with Diego, and I wanted to collaborate with people that had like a very particular interest in dinosaurs, because I know my friend Tyranno is, well, I mean, it's in the name, but he's very interested in dinosaurs, along with wanting to play with one of my other friends and also my mentor, Jill. So we made a video together documenting our experiences playing through the beta, getting our insight and thoughts, and potentially also talking about various other things in podcasts that we were creating. So we played through that game, shot some dinos as these exoskeleton meta-human type fighters, did some real old school type boomer shooter type monster attack shoot 'em up gameplay. I had problems with like trying to make space in order to get into the beta. So after like applying, I pretty much had to do like some digging into my account in order to like wipe out some of the games that was like accumulating space on my hard drive for the PS5. Because apparently one thing I didn't understand about downloading games to the PS5 drive is that if they're specifically for a certain console, you can't actually have them on the expanded hard drive if you connect one there. You would have to have a separate hard drive in order to mend the pieces together. So if you have like a PS5 game, for example, that only belongs on the space inside the PS5 unless you have an expanded hard drive for the PS5 that you install using the form of an M2 style SSD card, which I did not have at the time. So I only had to put stuff in through expanded hard drive that I was using in order to put most of my games in there. So I had to like pretty much micromanage, scrub off, and delete some video games from my PS2 hard drive. So after making the proper deletions and such, I was able to play the game. So I played with my boy Miggs and also my friend Jel, and we had a really good time shooting up dinos. We understood that June couldn't come soon enough because Street Fighter 6 was on the way, so occasionally Capcom would be releasing stuff like demos and other types of like open betas that people could play. I put up videos documenting my experiences trying to play the demo and the open beta with Tyranno, because occasionally there would be some GTA updates that would come in between such things. One time I like stayed up at one point trying to wait for the beta to come out while also playing through a GTA update. So I kind of did a mini stream type thing for that. It came out, but I think it was still good enough to put up online, because I think personally you guys need to see like the bit by bit, moment by moment things that happen like occasionally on stream. Sometimes there are streaming mishaps, but hey, you know, it all makes for good content at the end. Eventually March came and reared its head. So other than like the daisies pretty much like being pushed up in the air, I started downloading a whole bunch of like older light gun shooters like House of the Dead 3 and 4, and also stuff relating to the Resident Evil Chronicles games that really should get updated and re-released at some point. Please, Capcom, those are some really good shooters you guys have there. I would love to try to play that at some point or another, acting like I'm Chief Keef with my guns out, walking around trying to do 360s and shit. Cause like, yo fam, that shit was fire. I would love to have something like that up again, so I can probably play that with the boys at 3 a.m. That shit finna be lit. But yeah, I was playing some King of Fighters 13, admiring the consequences of people's actions. That's another deep fighter that has a long and complicated history and story that's as long as my tail end of backlog games is tall. Was playing a little bit of that, trying to see how the story of the Tale of Ash ended. I had a little fun like doing voice work for that type of game as well, just like doing my fun little fan dub of the thing while I was on stream. That shit was a riot for me. I had lots of fun uploading that. I was getting really close to getting the platinum for that one, but I had to like take a gander and a backseat at that because I was doing a lot of like in real life stuff. I guess just going really hard into working another job. So the videos kind of ceased for some time, networked with a bunch of individuals so that I could get like some other opportunities somewhere down the line, being able to like create more content at some point in the future. April 23 came and Street Fighter had a demo. Boy, did I hop into that one. Other than Migs telling me to get on that ish, I tried to play that for such a long time, just tinker around with like the created character system that the game has, loving the way the fighters and all the presentation that the game had presented itself. Loved a little bit more of the lore, got into reading the comic books to try to get more insight into what was happening in the background of Street Fighter 6 before the game itself had. Created my One Piece looking Mountain of a Man character. I still want to get into that game. I got like freaking 9 minutes playing the fucking main game itself. I plan on getting back into it. It's just been relegated to the backlog for a while. Was eagerly playing a lot of the betas in order to make sure that I could properly whoop some ass and make sure that I was known as a pub stomper around my local community. Handed people the fade, got faded myself, took my licks, got up, kept swinging, that type of jazz. Was really happy for it. 10 out of 10, would fight again. Messed around with some of the other modes, learned some pretty decent fundies for the game itself whenever it got released. Had fun enjoying some of the conflict online between whether or not it was okay to engage or fight people in normal mode or modern, which is probably a fight that's still had to this day among people just starting to dabble their feet into the multiplayer aspect of 6. May popped up, the flowers were there, the sundresses were there, and I was also playing Dino Crisis with my man's Tyranno. He had some fun. I was having fun trying to mess around with some of the scan lines and trying to, I guess, better pace out some of the other stuff that I was doing for my emulated games or my emulator, because I had recently gotten involved making sure that I was able to play some of my older games in a good way. So I dabbled a bit with that. I dabbled with my capture card because my capture card started sort of kind of halfway malfunctioning, so I had to try to find workarounds in order to better accommodate the content that I was going to be providing you guys and fix the stream quality. Eventually the World Tour demo came out. I started getting into the main story of like what was happening in the world of Street Fighter. I got to see how your character interacted with a new rival that showed up and how the two of you would end up going around town getting on misadventures in order to become much stronger fighters. I played some of the older titles in the Street Fighter universe as well, trying to like cut my teeth and like understand some of the better concepts that were like hidden well in Street Fighter, you know, visiting titles like the Street Fighter EX franchise, playing stuff like Marvel vs. Capcom, so that I can better gain a appreciation for Street Fighter itself, kind of like learning more or less the hard way and resharpening some of my older roots and such. I would love to dabble into like some more of the deep history that's in Street Fighter. Stay tuned for that. There was some more fights that were happening in Street Fighter 6, as there was another open beta that came out at some point. I won some, I lost some more, I fought another day. I was getting learned some by a couple Ken and Ryu players. So I guess, you know, no matter when in doubt, always go for the low kick to Tatsu combo. Had me feeling myself, bro. Then June came. I dealt with like some issues dealing with like me trying to get like an Xbox 360 working so that I could play some other titles that are like more towards like the Microsoft specific centric side of like the dish. Because when I was younger, I always grew up playing the Saints Row franchise. Hearing about its current departure kind of like leaves a sad spot in my mind, because I was like, yo, what the fudge? That's messed up. How could that just happen? You know, I really do feel for the people over there at Volition, or former Volition members, and I really do hope that all of them find their feet and get on other projects at some point or another, because it always sucks whenever a game company kind of like goes under. Making video games are hard, and it's not just like some willy-nilly thing you can just simply blame on, oh, this thing wasn't there, therefore that's fucked up. Because, well, I'm just greatly oversimplifying it. But yeah, there's a lot of series of checks and balances between like a developer and a publisher, that the publisher will occasionally nudge the developer in a certain direction. And hearing news about the Saints Row reboot being put in a different direction from what it was leaves a Saints Row 2 shaped hole in my heart. I really do wish things could have turned out a different way. So later on the 12th of June, another update for GTA came out. I dabbled a little bit more in that update, criminal mastermind type stuff. Bought myself some Crocs, messed around a little bit more, tried to do some things in anticipation of Street Fighter 6 coming out. Looked fresh to death. Deleted a couple more things off of my hard drive to make space for 6 itself. Was surprised I got a whole bunch of drive tickets, but like hoarded them anyway so that maybe I could use them for better stuff in the future, and got nudged some more by Migs to play the goddamn game. I will, just not right now, but over time I will. More updates started coming out for GTA. There were more vehicles that were coming out in response to drip-fed accusations that were happening, because at some point or another, Rockstar decided to have the very, very smart, and I do mean that sarcastically, idea to remove most of the cars in the title, which was, for a lot of people, that was very smooth-brained of them. What the heck? They were so used to having all these cars in the game. And I would like to say to be fair, but in retrospect, there's really nothing fair about it. They just want people to pay extra money for those cars. And I mean, if you're a really big car guy, I guess you'll have a feeling to want to get all those vehicles that people missed out on. That's definitely something that would have been looked at with a certain plum. I mean, that fear of missing out is what gets a lot of people hooked by shark cards and other things, which you shouldn't be doing in response to the new game coming out at some point. So it's like, what the hedge, bro? So I threw on some threads, got into a different situation with like my character getting involved with like a helicarrier and doing missions for a character that was sort of left behind in the sidelines for GTA once more. I formed a bootleg J team in order to take care of some paramilitary organization that was causing trouble occasionally for all the other members that were playing the game. I decided to stick it to them and form my own private military company that was also functioning in response for contract work in the game. Oh, I almost forgot. I also revisited my old longtime associate Ron in the video game. We helped him get some more stuff in the air freight business up and running because there were some new missions that were also added to that particular package of things that were happening in the game. So the air freight business for Grand Theft Auto Online was also something that people were like working towards, and also like doing new missions for. There was a slew of new vehicles that were also introduced, some also aircraft vehicles that were also considered super amazing that people wanted to get in touch with, so plugged that in for a bit. I stopped as soon as there was a run where I was like messing around with contraband. There was like a 3 times contraband type weekend, messed around with that, sold some stuff for a pretty high profit, stopped playing the game for a bit. I was playing some Souls with my man's Tyranno. I was dabbling into Soul Calibur, specifically Soul Calibur 5. The servers for the game were announced to being shut down. The game itself was in decline, so people weren't exactly playing the game. A lot of people had already moved on to Soul Calibur 6, which came out literally like last year or so. So they've been playing that in the meantime. Forgot to mention that there was a slew of other events that hundreds of other people have talked about before. There was a deficit that was happening around the state. People thought that money was gonna go kaput. They were putting their savings into and out of cryptocurrencies. The dude that was in charge of FTX he got royally screwed. He got messed over. People were talking about the war that was happening between the Ukraine and Russia, and how over time that war kind of got put over the wayside because people were suddenly reacting to the escalating tension that was happening between Palestine and Israel, and Hamas doing a lot of things that they really shouldn't have done to the people of Palestine, and it creating more or less chaos over there in Gaza. There's lines in the video if you would like to donate to any organizations that are going to send aid to those people. If you're interested in that, links down below. Please, any little bit helps. Do what you can. If there was war in your place, you would most likely want to get all the aid that you can, because there's no such thing as a good war. There's a lot of problems happening in this world, and you don't want to be a part of that problem. You want to be part of the solution. So yeah, there's your PSA. So that happened. What was happening in Soul Calibur? People were upset that Soul Calibur 5 was kind of going the way of the dodo, even though from what I could tell there was still a somewhat dedicated group of people that would be playing online. I mean, I didn't personally see them, because when I tried logging in online, there was nobody. You could have heard a pin drop. It was mouse steps. But I guess like they heard of me putting the beats on people of Street Fighter, and they ran for the hills. So I spoke about it a little bit with my boy Turano. We streamed ourselves, played a little bit more of Soul Calibur 5, seeing some of the things that were going to be taken out of the PSN store. So we tried to do everything that we could to salvage the good parts of Soul Calibur 5. Well, I mean, most of the parts were good. People beg to differ when it comes to the story type aspect of that game, but we could talk about that in another time. I saved Dampierre from the scrap heap. I bought the character because something tells me that copies of that game are probably going to go up in price at some point in the future. Mark my words, it's here engraved. So yeah, that's gonna happen. I played some games with my guy Captain Brave. I played some Call of Duty Black Ops. He would occasionally cajole me into playing it on and off streams. Sometimes I would get videos or invites to play it on my PS3. He'd see me log in and it's like clockwork. He would just send me a message, yo bro, yo, come on bro, hop in, let me join my game. Even though the game was like several years old, almost a decade old at this point, more than a decade old, he still sends me messages. I was like, all right, sure, all right, I guess I could indulge him for a bit. Locked in with him, played ourselves a damn good game of Call of Duty Zombies on Black Ops, the old 2025 game. It was a hoot, it was a holler, I enjoyed it. I have other videos that I'm also going to put onto the channel that document the last bits of stuff that I was doing for the season, because other than like that job thing that I mentioned before, I was making a decent amount of money doing that job. Sooner or later, that job ended up shuttering. I was moved to some other type of job run by the same people for some bits and pieces for some months or so. That job also went kaput early. So I was sort of kind of maybe, well, other than relishing the free time that I had, I also wanted to settle things, settle down a little bit more, kind of chill out a bit, rest, recuperate, recharge, get some of my other goals accomplished for the year. During July, my boy came back from his trip to DR or so, and he hooked me up with a bottle of white Henny, which is like a white whale of mine that I was chasing for a bit. Because when I was younger, I used to go with my younger brother to DR 2019, 2018. I wanted to get something, and we bought ourselves a bottle of white Henny. And we were planning on drinking that bottle, taking sips from that bottle after we got back from our trip. But at the time, we were living with, well, I mean, at the time, we were staying with our parents, who occasionally get really snippy. They're the helicopter types that like to snoop around. And I guess my mom, at some point, had found that bottle. She took it, and she got rid of it somehow. And I made like a mental note, like, yo, I gotta get this stuff again. Visit, I guess, like overseas or something. The places where people make banana milkshakes, enjoying the tropical breeze, going out for a swim, enjoying the nightlife. And so, for a long time, I was kind of pining for that mythical sip once more of that white Henny that I never had, but I was planning on having, but I never got to. Until that July. Because one of my friends hits me up from his trip from DR, and he buys not one, not two, but 3 bottles of white Henny. He sold like one of the bottles to me. I had my sip. I had it on stream. Also got a visit from one of my nephews, and we spent some time together, like chopping it up, trying to like brainstorm an issue that was happening with his console, because I guess something ended up causing his Xbox to not working, so I was figuring out ways to make it work. It didn't exactly work that well, but I needed to make sure, and then I could just send it off to him and he'd be happy. I started work on that. I also, August sort of came and went. Some more games were played, some more times were had, some fun was shared, some videos were uploaded around there. September was a time of change. GTA was having an anniversary. Yeah, so GTA was having an anniversary. There was an update that was released. It kind of added some more clothing options for the game, a couple more extras and stuff that was going to be remarked upon in a future update. So I logged into GTA, downloaded the update, grabbed those things as soon as I could before like it went away. October, it was pretty fun. The workload was getting a little bit heavier, but it was also different because there was a different change of pace, making a difference in my community and going out there in order to make sure that other people were getting the proper help that they needed. Halloween was looking pretty lit. I dressed myself up as an Akatsuki member, went around with one of my friends, I guess like enjoying ourselves, having fun, going clubbing, caught up on a bunch of shows, among them stuff like Scott Pilgrim movie that came out. Well, the new Scott Pilgrim show anyway. Catching up on older shows like One Piece, the new one, of course, not the old one, the new one with Iñaki Godoy and all those other people. I personally enjoyed watching both of those. I liked the fact that they gave both series an injected shot of fresh air in order to make all the fans happy. There's a couple people that have like their thoughts about it. You know, some people have like differing opinions regarding how adaptations sort of take away from the main source material, but leave that to it. I feel like people, as long as they look at these things from an objective point of view and a subjective point of view, and a lot of them can refrain from having to purposefully go out of their way to make other people's opinions invalid, it should be more or less an enjoyable experience for all that wish to enjoy them and not really go into them expecting to critique them and think that they're all bad just because they're different. Because a lot of things out there on a limb being taken a certain way are considered different and should be respected. So November came, there was another GTA date. I bought myself some stuff at a casino, messed around a little bit more, trying to mine and get the diamond ranks at the Diamond Casino Hall. Still had really bad luck gambling. Don't gamble. And lastly, dabbled with some stuff that I'm going to talk about in a future update regarding a character that a lot of people was trying to like look into and hope that they came back. And I'm glad that we were able to see how this crow comes to roost, and a brick joke that was introduced back in 2013 suddenly comes up to like the newer age. I'll be right back. Stay tuned. See y'all later in the next one. Bye.